Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mark, Solo Games. I just took a quick business trip recently. I'm back from my trip. Everything was pretty smooth, except I had this I guess, event on the airplane. Okay, so I'm flying Southwest. I know it's but hey, I actually kind of like Southwest because for me, because I know how to kind of check in really fast. I usually get pretty good positions inside the line, which usually means that I get a good seat, right? So flying to my destination, it wasn't too bad. I was able to, I think I got like B9 or something. I'm not, by the way, I'm not A-list or anything like that. I probably should be. Maybe I'll get that this year. I don't know. Flying a lot this year, so maybe. But anyways, I'm B9. I should be getting a pretty good seat, which I did. I got one of the exit aisle seats. I'm a pretty tall guy, so I need like my leg room and all this stuff. I'm pretty big too, so it's just like all this stuff. I need my space, right? So I'm sitting down. I just need my leg room. Everything's great. And it just so happens that the next guy next to me is like even taller than me. I think he's like 7 foot or something. He's a huge guy. And so I guess everybody who passes was like, I'm not sitting between this dude and that dude, right? So we got a nice flight. Him and I shared kind of like the middle, putting our cups, whatever, it's nice, right? And he's the guy sitting next to the window. So if you've ever been on I think these are the 737-800 Max or whatever, it's the one where there's like the exit road has that one seat that just has like a huge leg room because there's no seats next to the escape window, right? So it's not like, three, three, three. There's a row of three, then there's a row of 2 seats, but on the aisle side. So there's like an empty seat. Like there's no seat where there should have been a seat. And then the third row of 3. So if you get that inside seat, you get this huge leg room. And it's pretty nice. Anyway, so he's in there, I'm sitting there, everything's great. On the flight back though, my number, I guess it was a pretty booked flight. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were ahead of me because they had status or whatever, because I checked in on like the second, Anyways, so I checked in on the second of it available for me, 24-hour check-in. And then I got, I think, B29, B28, something like that, B26, I forget. Some B, middle of the B number, okay? It's a decent position. Usually with that number, I can get a pretty decent seat by myself, I don't have to sit in middle seats pretty much ever. So anyways, I walk down the row and immediately I get on the plane and to my left, there's like a seat open, that first row seat. So I was like, oh, I really want to sit there. I've never sat in those seats before. Now those seats don't have any seats in front of them. So they already have a good leg room. The other benefit is those seats, you can just get out of the plane super fast, right? So it's a pretty good seat. The only issue is there's no underside storage for your backpack. And so you have to put your stuff on the top, which is not a problem, right? Except the problem is that day, for whatever reason, super full flight. I think I heard every single seat is sold, right? So I couldn't find anything in the first part. I probably should have just asked the flight attendant and been more assertive. By the way, now we're 3 minutes into the video, and finally we're talking about the topic of this video is nothing to do with magic, being assertive. So if you're here for magic, just go away. Come back for a different day, and then we'll talk about magic. But today we're just going to talk about being assertive and what you should do in your life if you want to kind of get ahead. What I should have done was talk to the flight attendant who's right by the door. So you know how it works. You walk in the door. There's a flight attendant right here, right? And they say hi. You say hi, whatever. Or you put your headphones in. You don't say hi, whatever. I don't know. And then you turn right, and then you're walking down the aisle, right? So I'm walking down the aisle, and I'm like, I see that seat. I should have said, hey, I want to sit there, but I don't have a place for my backpack. And then the flight attendant will probably find a place for me, and then everything's peachy. It's great, right? However, I'm like, whatever. There's a dude and, his son. I don't know if I want to sit there. So I just start walking because I'm thinking, look, I know it's middle of the B, but I probably could still get an exit row seat. Even if it's middle seat, it's probably okay. So I'm, walking down, trying to see if I can get one of those long leg seats. So I'm walking, and they usually put a flight attendant right near the exit row seats as well, because basically somebody has to watch and make sure, I think kids under 16 can't sit there or something. And then if you obviously shouldn't be sitting there because you're I don't know, you're disabled, you have an oxygen mask, whatever, already on, and we're not even in a situation, you probably shouldn't sit there. So the flight attendant, I think her purpose or his purpose is to say, yeah, if you, sir, please, find a seat behind here, whatever, right? So everything's peachy. It's all good. So we're walking down the row, and I see one dude who was like, I think maybe 10 or so people ahead of me in the numbers, talk to some guy at the exit row, right? So the exit row looks a little bit full. I'm kind of like, prowling and seeing what's going on over there. I'm like, hey, what's going on over there, right? So it looks kind of full, but there's one dude and there's like nobody sitting next to him, but he's on the aisle side, right? And so this guy leans, so the guy in front of me, he leans over and he says something to this guy and he like walks forward. And I fucking knew, dude, I'm looking at the situation and I fucking knew that this guy, this motherfucker, right, who's sitting by the like aisle side with 2 seats empty next to him, with that long ass leg seat next to him empty, I fucking knew he was reserving that shit. Because the guy who asked him and said something to him, it was him and his girlfriend traveling, or wife, I don't know. They probably wanted those 2 seats, and the guy's like, oh, it's taken. And then, of course, the guy didn't want to, like, I don't know, get into a confrontation, so he just walked on. But he probably, like, leaned down and says, hey, man, like, don't do that, or that's not cool, whatever. Like, maybe he was a little bit meaner, like, you're a fucking asshole. I don't know, right? So in my head, like, I'm coming up to the seat, so I'm walking back with my, backpack on and everything. And I was like, no, fuck this. Dude, today I'm fucking getting that seat, okay? I'm not flying back at this late flight so I can suffer in the back with like some crying baby ass shit, and my leg is like, being kicked against the front seat with somebody lowering their seat back and like fucking with my shit, okay? I'm just gonna have a nice flight. I read a book, life's great. So I walk up to this. Of course, I walk up, I see the guy. He's on his fucking like Switch and he's just playing games, gaming, right? He's really intensely, I don't know what he's playing, I don't really care, but he's gaming, okay? And I walk, and there's a seat in front of me, and there's like 2 nice, like, people, like old folks who are sitting here, like enjoying their time, and they're chatting away. And then right as I kind of walk almost next to him, when you can see the full seat, you see what's going on. He puts so the dude is sitting here, he's gaming, remember, he's gaming, right? He's pro gamer, okay? He's going crazy. He's not looking up at anyone because he can't make eye contact. If you make eye contact, you got to give the seat up. He's not going to make contact with me. He's sitting there doing his gaming stuff. He's got a backpack right here, and he's got his jacket like laying across the 3rd seat, right? And I'm like, dude, you motherfucker. Like, you're not reserving 1 seat, you're reserving both. Like, okay, look, sometimes I do this. So my wife, like, sometimes when she checks in, she forgets and whatever. So I get like a B17 and she gets like a C1. And it's like, that's kind of your fault, right? You should have just checked in. So what I usually do is I will reserve a middle seat for her, because a lot of times she's pretty small. So she sits nicely in the middle and, it doesn't bother the person next to her. Everything's peachy. So I usually sit in the aisle seat. I will reserve a middle seat for her. But if anyone asks, just let them sit, okay? So yes, I am an asshole about that too sometimes, but only because my wife doesn't check in well. And so to prevent that in the future and whatever, I've been just telling her to check in whenever I check in if we're flying together. Not a problem. Anyways, I see this pro gamer bro over here playing his fucking Switch, and he's just looking down, doesn't want to look up at me. He wants me to walk past as fast as possible, right? And I'm like, excuse me. And he's like, he doesn't even let me finish, because he knows I'm going to ask, like, is that seat taken? That's not what I was going to ask, by the way. He says, no, these are reserved. I said, I would like to sit there. I didn't say, can I sit there, or is that seat open? I said, I would like to sit there. He says, these are taken, these are reserved. And I said, I'm sorry, sir, that's not how the system works. You can ask anyone else on the plane, that's not how this shit works. And he's like, no, these are taken, you can't sit here, just find another seat in the back. I'm like, bro, if you need to reserve 3 seats, you go in the back. There are plenty of seats open, like full rows of 3 open in the back. He could have sat there and probably could have reserved a seat for his friend. Probably. I don't know what her or his or whatever number are. Probably. But this motherfucker is like covering the whole row. And it's like the best seat on the plane, basically. I mean, it's not really, but it's nice, right? Minus any disaster situation, it's probably the best fucking seat on the plane, right? And he's covering the whole thing. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm going to sit here. So this is where assertiveness comes in. Because, see, I made a conscious decision about 10 seats back as I'm walking up that I'm going to do this shit. Because I knew what he was doing. I knew he was covering that thing. And I'm going to sit there today no matter what. Now, of course, if the person in front of me, I was a little afraid, actually. There was another person, not the guy who leaned over and said something, but somebody between us, and I thought she might sit there. But of course, normal people, they see the situation, they just kind of walk on, right? They don't want to start a confrontation. And so I'm just leaning over and be like, no, I'm going to sit here. And then in my mind, I'm like, when is the flight attendant going to come in and be like, sir, you got to move your jacket. Let the other gentleman sit, right? Like, is she waiting for me to get into a fist fight with this dude? And the funny thing is, like, he's kind of scrowny, right? Like, because he's programming all day. And I'm over here, like, working out every day. Like, I can take him on a fight. It's not a problem. Now, I don't want to start situations on planes because apparently I heard it's like really bad. Don't do that shit, by the way, because you can get kicked out of planes and airports and banned for life or some bullshit like that. So you don't want to start situations on the airplanes. However, I will be assertive with my rights. Here's why. Look, guys. So here's the 10 minutes into the video. We're coming to the fruit of the video. What I want to tell you about this lesson is this. Okay, so let's conclude the story, right? So guess what? I just said I'm going to sit there, and he says, fine. And he said some other thing under his breath, like asshole or whatever, right? I'm like, don't care. I'm going to sit in my seat. I'm going to have a nice flight, and that's it. So I sat in that seat, and guess what? He did not even reserve the seat next to him because some other girl sat there, not his girlfriend or whatever, because it was open now. He's realized that, hey, don't do stupid shit like this. So the moral of the story is be assertive. And I'm not telling you guys to go out there and be an asshole and like take things that's not yours. But if something is yours, you deserve it, be assertive. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of situations. Don't be afraid of assholes like this pro gamer over here, right? Be assertive. If it's yours, you deserve it, say it. Say it firmly, say it proudly, and be you. You're going to start realizing as you start doing this in your life, you're going to see a lot more success in your job, in your life, and with girlfriends, everything, right? Don't do asshole-ish shit to other people, but protect yourself. Be assertive. Mark Solo Games, I'm out.